Gentlemen, I'd like to move on to the third question. This question again deals with economic issues, and it's the economy, and also there's a bipartisanship, component to it. In 2014, Maryland was ranked by the Tax Foundation as the 41st out of 50 states for business climate in the United States. After years of Republicans pressing these business issues in Annapolis, the Democratic leaders of both the House and the Senate seem to now finally be discussing certain changes to improve Maryland's dismal business climate. As governor, what would you do to improve Maryland's business climate? And how would you work with Democrats in Annapolis to make those changes? And we'll start with Mr. Vaeth first.
Well, I think that what we can do is work with the businesses and find out what challenges that they face individually so that we can support them with like an individual tax program. You know, a business up the street might need a little bit different help than the business down the street. But we do need to hold them accountable for the taxes that they owe. We're going to attract more business in the state through energy and just doing things right, doing ethical business. We're going to be known not for the corruption that we commit, but for the business ethic, the government ethic, and doing work for the people. So I think we're going to be able to draw a lot of business in the state and grow the economy by doing that. And we're going to have to work on the tax programs as they come along. But we're not going to do it by chicken tax and rain taxes. We're not going to do it like that. So we're going to work with everybody to develop a program that's best for them. But you know, we just can't we're taxed right now at a rate like 40%. It's way too high. So the individual income tax is 22% of the budget. The corporate income tax is 3%. You know, we got to balance that out a little bit and stop taking it from the individual. So that's what I plan to do. Thank you.
You know, as county executive, what we looked at for businesses was the property tax. But at the state level, we know, and we started the study on this about a month after I announced I was running in June and came up with a plan, and it is the income tax. And that's why we had announced not long ago that we would phase out the income tax, because 94% of the small businesses in the state of Maryland pay their tax through the income tax, not through the corporate income tax. That is horrible for them. So what we propose to do is that the first year that we would be in office, we would lower the income tax from 6.25%, which is the highest level, to 4.25%, which it used to be a long time ago. And to make sure that people say, where would you find the money then that you would save? Because that would save $1.2 billion. I would sit with my department heads, as I do with my department heads as county executive, and say, you have to decrease the size of your budget by 3%. A 3% reduction would lower the budget by $1.2 billion. They would have to do that every year for 4 years. That saves us $5 billion. The third year, we would lower the income tax to 3%, and the fifth year, we would eliminate it. That is the key. The people who make a decision on where their business is going to be located are going to be concerned about the tax on themselves and their employees. So the income tax is the highest one that we have to attack first. Thank you.
Delegate George.
Yes, my 10-point promise I put out there what I plan to do in the first year alone. And after that, I'm going to keep going, but it's going to depend how much we're able to increase and attract businesses to the state, how much more revenue we get, and where we go after that. But I would like us to get down to a fixed rate of 3.5% on income tax. That's a plan that I've always had and something that I've always liked. The Taxpayers' Bill of Rights I co-sponsored for many years, worked on that. So there are ideas out there for us to do. 10% across the board income tax cut right away. That's what I can guarantee you will get in 2014, as soon as I'm in office. Usually you're working on the budget for 2015. You have to understand I'm making it retroactive to the full year before. You get it a year from now. I need that money in your pocket. Maryland is called the richest state, but we have some of the lowest amount of discretionary income as a percent of income. And that hurts us big deal, because it's the money in the buying and selling of goods that new money is created. And so if you don't have discretionary money, you can't take your vacations, you're going to do less buying. It hurts us across the board. So I want to get that in your pockets. Then a lot of this regulations, fees, and property taxes, all the way down the board, we have a full, long plan to do it. So it's not one thing, but if you go look at the voterongeorge.com website, you will see it. We put it out there. It's a promise that I know I can deliver on you. I know I can get the votes. By the way, they didn't think we could pass repealing the estate tax, and we just got it through. The Republicans worked very hard on that. We got the Speaker of the House, they wanted something, and we made sure they were going to get the votes, and finally some Democrats started to pile on at the end. But we did get that through the House. It's going to the Senate. Thank you.
Business is something that excites me, specifically bringing business back to Maryland, something I know how to do. My Lieutenant Governor candidate and myself have been doing our Maryland Economic Recovery Tour. Some of you all might have known that. Whether you're talking about excessive regulations and fees on watermen and fishermen on the Eastern Shore, the lack of attention up in Western Maryland, or even the option of opening up fracking in the Marcellus Shale, as we literally watch Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia take that natural gas right from under us even as we speak, because we continue to drag our feet with this so-called survey, all the way across to Carroll County, where we spent yesterday on a tour in Carroll and Frederick County. The #1 issue that business owners told me that's driving them and crazy and causing them to want to leave the state is this idea of increasing the minimum wage. But it's not just that. It's the entire economic environment of our state. You heard me talk about passing, in my first 100 days, a real taxpayer's Bill of Rights. As chairman of the tax commission here in the state, it's something I went around talking to clubs and counties and business clubs about. We can directly tie the growth of government with cost of living and CPI to ensure that your government does not grow any faster than CPI. If we have that in place right now, we're looking at almost a 7.5% to 8% increase over fiscal year 13 spending just this year alone. We could actually send refund checks home back to citizens if we just impose that law and get people to get our businesses to come right back to our state. So much more to talk about. I want to respect that.